They changed the rules and they never bothered to ask us. This video will be a breakdown into the new rules that come into football this season, and shrouded in some mystery. This is because UEFA doesn't want to get on board with these rules. Let's be real, we've all been there. Your team is trailing and it's in the dying minutes, and the goalkeeper catches the ball and he decides to have a karaoke night on the ground. He's holding the ball, maybe rolling a few times to kind of waste time. But this new rule says that if your goalkeeper holds the ball for more than 8 minutes, it's an assist. And I say an assist in this way, it's an indirect assist to the opposing team because they get a corner. 8 seconds, hold the ball, and you give off a corner to the opposing team. So what will happen is the referee will wait till it's 5 seconds left and he'll give visuals of countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and if the goalkeeper doesn't kick the ball in between the countdown seconds, it ends up being a corner to the opposing team. Why a corner, you might ask yourself? The previous rule was more of, if you waste time for 6 minutes, the opposing team gets an indirect free kick from wherever you're holding the ball from. So inside the 18-yard box, be it you're on the side of the box, at the edge of the box, maybe at the center, wherever you are, the referee will have to set up an indirect free kick from inside the box. You might have seen this scenario in the past, that players are hitting a free kick from the box, and you might be asking yourself, I thought only penalties get taken from inside the box. Well, you were wrong, and most of you didn't know. This is what happens if a goalkeeper in the previous rule held the ball for more than 6 seconds. The referee was mandated to give an indirect free kick, but the issue was it's kind of sensitive and it feels like it shouldn't happen. So the referees used to kind of just give the yellow card and brush it off. But the indirect free kick comes with its own challenges. You have to create sort of the line for the wall, which is normally 9 meters from the free kick region. So the referee has to count steps 9, and the box might be crowded and the free kick might look a bit clumsy in some sort of way. So what this new rule brings is kind of control back to the referee, giving a corner feels more legit. If you make the countdown and the goalkeeper decides to keep on holding the ball, then you give off the corner. Compare this to an indirect free kick inside the box, which feels kind of heartless to the opposing team. A corner feels much more justified in this case, and I'm happy to see it being a corner. For the first time, we might actually see a rule that's in the referee's hand being exercised and being put to the litmus test, and see how it actually happens to bring out which results. So I'm happy, I'm buzzing for this one. Hopefully we get to see these corners come at latter stages of the game, in the dying minutes of the game. Hopefully these goalkeepers kind of forget there is a new rule, and we might actually get some crazy moments to end of football in this season. But then there's an issue with everything that we are going to kind of touch on today. UEFA says no, thank you, we don't want the rules. There is a kind of push and pull between FIFA and UEFA. And FIFA, yes, is the organizing body of football, and generally comes up with the rules in conjunction with IFAB, which is the International Football Association Board. But UEFA is kind of a European only competition, and it's trying to break away from everything. It didn't support the Club World Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the UEFA. Will the team's demand of it to be exercised? Will UEFA come good and just allow it to go on? It remains to be seen, and hopefully we'll get to see what happens. The next rule that's going to be enforced this season going forward is only team captains are allowed to come and talk to the referee. We have seen this many a times where players crowd the referee. They are trying to mislead him in his judgment. They are trying to cover for their teammate. They are trying to make a case for their fellow teammates. But actually, what's going to happen this season is only the captains are allowed to approach the referee when it's a decision that needs to be made. And I actually saw this in action this past weekend in the Premier League. Only captains would come to the referee, try to make a case for their fellow teammate, try to see what leeway can be given. Maybe a card might not be issued at this point, but it's only the captains who will approach the referee. It gets interesting if you're a goalkeeper and you're a captain. Let's say in this case someone like Emmanuel Neuer, you're not allowed to come and approach the referee. So what you'll have to do, you'll have to send an emissary. So in this case, you'll have to send a teammate who you know can argue the case for your team, who maybe is good in the language in which you are playing. Maybe if it's in the EPL, you know someone who's good with English. If it's in the German league, you know someone who can speak German, and so on and so forth, to kind of make the case, because the goalkeeper is not allowed to leave the position to go and try and argue. That will be considered time wastage, which is actually something that we're trying to relieve on the other side with the 8-second rule. If the goalkeeper comes to argue, no play can be done, because you can't start creating the wall, and you're actually with the goalkeeper captain here. So you have to kind of wait to finish the case with the keeper, then have them go back, and then there is a time wastage issue. They have to set up the wall, and so on and so forth. So hopefully the captain's thing is clear enough. So it's only captains who should approach the referee, and in the case of a goalkeeper being the captain, we only have the goalkeeper sending an emissary to kind of go and make the case for the team in general and try and see what can be achieved. I'm actually grateful. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to the Football News Podcast. We actually hit 10k subscribers. I'm buzzing. At this point, I don't know what to say, but thank you so much. Let the community keep growing, and let this podcast be shared. Share it. Let more people subscribe. Let's get more viewers on board. Let's get every video kind of watched and analyzed and listened to by the community we are trying to build. Let's keep on growing this community. That's all I can say, and thank you very much for the returning subscribers. To the new subscribers, welcome on board. Let's keep pushing on this journey together. Let's get back to our video. So there's also a rule that's coming this season, and I think I haven't seen it this past weekend. Maybe there were not enough so scenarios, but the drop ball is kind of getting a certain overhaul. If it's inside the penalty area, so the ball is dropped to the defending goalkeeper, and if it's outside, it's dropped to the team that would have gotten it, or if unclear, to the last touch of the ball. I think okay, I think I kind of saw this in the Chelsea game. There was a time where Crystal Palace player was down injured, and it happened that Chalobah had to kick out the ball, and the referee dropped it to the last touch of the ball. So this is something that makes sense. It's actually fair because in the past the drop ball used to be knocked over to the other side to try and restore some parity, but actually if you have to continue with play, it makes sense that the last touch of the ball is going to be the one to continue with the play that's actually on the field. Another thing, if you're on the bench and you're the coach or a reserve member of the team and you're happening to kick the ball inside the pitch to try and cause some time wastage issues, then it's not a card, no punishment to you on the bench, but you actually cost your team some favorable time to kind of attack, to kind of try and relieve themselves of the pressure. If you actually knock the ball into the field, if you're on the technical bench, the opposing team gets a free kick, which is kind of bizarre because you might be thinking you're actually wasting time, but in this case, you actually end up putting your team in harm's way. You knock the ball back. Wherever you knock that ball back in from, that's an indirect free kick to the opposing team. So you might have thought that your team kicked the ball away, and you happen to touch the ball when the other guy is going to take a throw in to try and cause time wastage. But then you end up costing your team because wherever the ball will come in from, that's a free kick. So there's also something new they're trying to introduce with keeper throws and offsides. So if it's the goalie who's making the throw of the ball, then in this case you'll have to use the last point of contact, not the first, for official. So this is going to provide offside judgment clarity. It's the last point of contact. I actually made a video on the offside rule, but now they're kind of changing it just a bit. Someone who was the last point of contact when this ball was thrown, that's where the offside will be made if it's the keeper actually making this throw. I'll try and create a short to try and elaborate on this matter and tie it to the previous video so that I can provide more clarity on the matter. So something else that they might be working on, and I kind of think we have seen this in action this weekend. It's the VAR expansion. VAR is going to be more implied in the game. You're going to see VAR reviewing maybe corners, and in this case I'm going to reference again, I don't have recency bias of any case. I'm going to reference the Chelsea versus Crystal Palace game. They actually cancelled a goal because someone infringed to 1 meter of the opposing team's wall. So we are going to see the VAR looking into the tiny things that might have missed the referee's eye. And I'm actually happy it's not only reviewing offsides, it's not only reviewing dangerous tackles, it's the tiny things that matter in football. In this case, if Crystal Palace were given the goal, that it might have actually ended up Chelsea losing because Maguire actually pushed himself and went closer to the Chelsea wall, which is a rule I wasn't familiar with, and I will try to make another video on this. But he actually went to more than close to 1 meter to the opposing team's wall, which makes the free kick and goal null and void. So The other thing that might be on the horizon, it's penalty rebounds might be cancelled, and in this case it's you score the penalty. Like during shootouts, after extra time, it's one goal, you don't get to have a rebound. So if you don't score your penalty, they are working on scrapping out the rebounds, and this might actually start in the FIFA World Cup, but it might be introduced for testing measures. We will have to see. And as we said, UEFA has controversy with these rules, and a main thing that they're kind of trying to cite is that it's going to kill the flow of the game, and with many changes and citing time loss in the case of like the VR reviewing the free kick issue, then the flow of the game is kind of cut. But I would rather have the flow of the game cut and see justice being given to the team that's actually on the receiving end. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it, and let the community keep growing. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.